So this is a flashback to when Amalthea kidded, and I hadn't yet put it up because I wanted to edit it to explain what was going on. I'd been watching her and she finally popped her water, and then what appeared to be the amniotic sac burst, and I noticed that it was a bit too yellow, so it's meconium stained, which suggests that there is a baby that is feeling a little bit stressed. If a baby poops the bag, then they usually do so because they're stressed. So I've been watching her very closely to try and make sure that nothing unfortunate was going to happen. It did seem to be taking a little bit longer for her to get on with it, but she's only a first kidder and that's not uncommon for them to take a bit longer. So I was just keeping a close eye on her and monitoring her progress. When she finally reached the pushing stage, shortly after, you can see that she's got a head emerging. Now, it's not a particularly big head, and she seemed to be doing quite a lot of hard pushing. And so I was hoping that there was not a tangle of some sorts. It shouldn't have been necessarily a tangle with this kid, I thought, with the head properly presented like that. But for all of the straining, you can see that she's really pushing at this point. She did not seem to be making an awful lot of progress. So I'm having a bit of a look, and then I see that there's a second bag coming, which says that, in fact, there is another kid trying to come out alongside the first kid. Hang on, that can't be coming in. And then I've got to try and push it back because there's no way for her to push out two kids at the same time. So I'm attempting to push backwards on the second kid that is jamming into the birth canal there, and I'm doing it in between her pushes. You don't want to hurt her birth canal at all. You don't want to risk tearing her, but there's no way for her to push out two kids at the same time. So in between her pushing, I'm attempting to gently push that second kid back so that the first kid is cleared to exit the birth canal, which this totally explained why the first baby had a meconium stained bag. It was taking too long because of the pressure and the stress put on it from that second kid trying to come at the same time. And once I got the second kid back and got the little one's foot forward, she slid out without any real trouble. You can see here that she's very slow to respond. She's a bit dull. I actually dropped the phone here to properly clear her nose and her mouth, make sure that she can breathe and try and get any fluid and bits of slime off of her and stimulate her. I'm trying to encourage her mother to lick her. Unfortunately, because the second kid was right there ready to be born, she immediately starts pushing on the second kid, and you can see that it pops out once the first one's clear with no trouble at all. It's a nice sized kid, it's lively, and so once it's clear and I can see that it's able to breathe, I go back to working on the first kid. And she's breathing, but she's still a little bit dull, a little bit slow. So we're just trying to stimulate her a bit more, encourage her mother to lick her to help with that stimulation. And she's starting to look a bit more lively at this point, which is very gratifying. Mother's still more interested in the talkative, lively kid that's just been born and not this small, slow one that's not really responding much to her. But thankfully, she is stabilizing, starting to move her head, lift it up. She can breathe, and she's doing well. Oh dear. Poor Mite. Hey, you okay? It was a bit of a rough arrival. Tiny, look at you. Tiny baby. You're a big baby. You're a big...
Big girl, I think. We have a breach.
So Amalthea had a third, and as you can see it was breech, and so very quickly I grabbed the head out and dropped the phone because I was clearing the nose and the mouth, making sure that I was getting as much fluid out as I can. Breech aren't usually a drama, except for if, as shown, the doe stops pushing once the hard part's over, which is the hips in the case of a breech animal. And so then you have to make sure that the kid keeps coming out so it can clear the head. Otherwise it could potentially start to inhale fluid, because the motions of birth stimulate the kid to breathe, and if the head's still in when the rest of it's out, it will inhale fluid.
Oh good, you're going to lick her now. Thank you for that. Tiny doe, that's what was stuck. Big doe, that was trying to come at the same time. Breech buck.
All three babies drank well, got to their feet, and grew out beautifully.